this is a PowerPoint on cards that fit in other classes, part 3. Let's start with Death Knight. So Death Knight is, of course, very popular for its death rattles. It has a lot of death rattles. Even in Standard, it has a lot of death rattle synergies. Death Knight also has a fair few amount of Quillbores. So I thought, well, what's the best of both worlds? You combine all of the very powerful Quillbore, Death Rattle, Demon Hunter cards that do exist into Death Knight, and it would be pretty good. I could see all 3 of these cards being good in a Death Rattle Death Knight, just straight up ported, nothing else change about them, nothing about their text, their cost, aside from just being Demon Hunter to Death Knight cards, and they'd be very powerful. Imagine your curve is Brittlebone Buccaneer into Razorfen Beastmaster on 2-3, then you'll just have the Beastmaster with Reborn, so you can summon a 4-drop, or less Death Rattle from your hand, probably like a Razorboar, something like that. And then you have the Razorfen Beastmaster's a 3-1 on board again, so you can either kill it off yourself or your opponent, and you'll summon another 4-drop with Death Rattle. It would be significantly better than it is in Demon Hunter right now. Demon Hunter still doesn't have like any cards that can actually like make use of these 3 cards very efficiently, and it's really sad because, I mean, on paper, these are just strong cards. Like, objectively speaking, they are good cards. Razorboar is a Bloodfen Raptor that has a very strong death rattle. Razorfen Beastmaster is still a 3-3 with a very strong death rattle. It could pull like Eliza from your hand. It could pull oh gosh, I'm blanking on cards that would be good with it, but it would be great with your Dreadhound Handlers. It's just so many strong Death Rattle cards that are in Death Knight that would benefit from these cards. And like I said, Quillbores do exist in Death Knight. I think Death Knight has 2 Quillbores currently, which is a lot comparatively because, you know, most classes have no Quillbores or very few Quillbores because they don't get any support. So it really does make sense. It would fit into Death Knight a lot, and it's fun. I don't know. I just like these cards and I want them to be good. So putting them in a class that gives them a chance, please, Blizzard, please. Then we get to Demon Hunter. So this is a little bit cheating. I just decided to take this entire package from the new expansion and say, hey, it would probably be pretty good in Demon Hunter. You know, Demon Hunter has these like self-damage cards that's trying to synergize with Priest through the Tourist, with Arana, and you know, every time you take damage with Arana, it just deals it to the enemy hero instead. So running like these new Warlock cards that are also about taking damage would be pretty good in Demon Hunter. They'd probably be, you know, okay in Priest as well, but primarily Demon Hunter. You can play the new Infernal Stapler to, you know, swing, and then you can get a 4/4 Fearless Flame Juggler. The Cursed Souvenir is just really good for your Arana. You can actually play it and then just like curve into Arana, and then as long as Arana's on board, the Cursed Souvenir will never hurt you. And then Party Fiend is just like double dipping. It's a strong token demon, which Demon Hunter loves, and it deals damage to your hero. These cards just feel like they obviously would have been good in this expansion for Demon Hunter. Like, if Demon Hunter had the Warlock Tourist or something, it probably would have been able to do this whole self-damage stuff a lot better than it is in Priest. Because, like, the Priest cards are fine, but the Warlock cards are just so much better if you are trying to go for a self-damage archetype, and it kind of just doesn't land, the Priest version. So that's why I'm thinking, like, okay, well, if we had done this instead, it probably would have been pretty good. That's why I wanted to talk about all of these cards. I don't think that putting, like, Vona in really makes much sense, but if it were a Tourist, you would still have Vona, so, yeah. Then we have Druid. So Druid would absolutely love Punch Card. Punch Card is great for the quest. It gives you, it gives you 3 attack for your quest, which is, I'll admit, is sometimes a little clunky on the first stage because, you know, it's 4. But for the second stage is 5 attack. The third stage is 6 attack, so it doesn't feel as clunky at all. And it's just a good card. Punch Card, like, objectively would be good in Druid. It gives you access to, like, removal that you don't have. The best removal that, like, attack Druid has is Rake, which is why I put it up there. And Rake can only really clear 2 minions at a time while also hitting your face into that second one. Punch Card would help you, you know, clear 3 minions for +1 mana, of course, but it also, you would still have to hit your face into it. I really do think that Punch Card, like, fundamentally would have been a good card in Druid. Like, if this expansion, Warrior Druid was the Warrior Taurus instead of the other way around, I think, like, Lost in the Park Druid would actually have a chance at being good and wild again, like, to be running this punch card. Like, it's actually just such a strong card. It's just so nice because it's really good into early aggro decks because, like, you could play Lost in the Park on 1, Hero Power on 2, Punch card on 3. You'll get the 5 armor from your Hero Power. You'll have Tick the Hero Power. You'll be able to clear minions. You just get to do all this stuff that, like, really would have benefited the Lost in the Park deck. And, like, yeah, a lot of people don't like Lost in the Park Druid. I'll admit it. It was real. It's not that the deck itself was the problem when it was, the best deck in the game. It was more when it was more Yogg Saron Unleashed. Let's not get it twisted. Yogg Saron Unleashed was the main reason that Questline Druid was like an S tier deck for like a full month. But I'm gonna be honest. I like Hero Power Druid. I like Attack Druid. I like attack decks. So cards like this are just really fun, and I like when they merge together. I like being able to actually do powerful things, and Punch card would just lead to a very powerful, Questline Druid. Then for Hunter, I chose Vexillus and Mage's Apprentice. These are, arcane mage spells. They make your arcane spells cost 1 less, your arcane spells cost twice, and those are things that are, like, desperately missing from Arcane Hunter, if you ask me. Arcane Hunter was terrible. It was just actually terrible until they printed Celestial Shot. And then with Celestial Shot, it was good because you would play Celestial Shot on 3 into Eversong Portal on 4, and you'd get 3 or 4, depending on your turn 2, 4/4s with Rush. And your opponent had a really hard time dealing with that in Standard, because that is a lot of stats for 4 mana in Standard. Especially when you sent face damage turn 4, things like that, right? Cards like Vexillus and Mage's Apprentice would allow cards like Star Shooter to generate you a lot of arcane shots, and then you can buff them with Halderon or Farstriders to then kill your opponent that way. This is partially what they were going for in Mage during this expansion with the Arcane Bolts, which were 1 mana, deal 2 damage, Mana Thirst, I think it's 6 or something to deal 3 damage instead. That's what they were trying to go for with this. It didn't really work that well, I'm going to be honest. You kind of used all these cards for different things rather than, like, a combination of arcane spells. But if they were in Hunter, you would use it that way. You would be trying to get a bunch of arcane shots, and then, play your Mage's Apprentice, they all cost 0, play your Vexillus, they cast twice, give them spell damage from your, Halderons, and like I already said, and then just kill your opponent that way. And that would probably be genuinely good enough for Wild. It probably would. Vexillus could also be used for your other arcane spells to, make them better. Like, it could be used for Celestial Shot. It could be used for Conjured Arrow. It could be used for Arcane Quiver. It could even be used for Eversong Portal. Are you likely to do Eversong Portal or Celestial Shot? Probably not, but you are pretty likely to be able to do Arcane Quiver and Conjured Arrow. So doubling up on, like, your really good arcane spells just would be good. It's quite sad that Hunter probably won't ever get, like, support like this to actually make Arcane Hunter good in any way, because, like, cards like this would just never be printed for Hunter, because we're not allowed to have mana cheat, we're not allowed to have, like, late-game bomb win conditions, we're just not allowed to have that. We're also not allowed to have good cards, so it feels really weird that we're still not allowed to have that stuff. Don't want to talk about the mini set, I don't want to talk about it, but fuck me, man. Yeah, I don't know. I like this. I really do like this. I think the Arcane Hunter could have been genuinely very cool. It's just, we never got it. So, yeah. Then for Mage, I chose Blackjack, Stunner, and Sparkjoy Cheat. So Mage has the most expensive secrets in the game. Everyone knows that. They have 3 cost secrets. So a card like Sparkjoy Cheat would actually be really good in Mage because it plays a random secret from your hand. So it's already effectively, like, free. It's like running Kirin Tor Mage, except -1 attack, but it also draws you a card, which is something that, Secret Mage kind of struggles with sometimes. If the meta isn't in a good place for it, it's typically not going to be able to draw cards because you can't really play that many good card draw cards. Like, you can run Sage and Rig Fair Game, that's kind of it. Sometimes you run the 2-mana 2/3 draws a secret, I forget what it's called, or, oh God, I'm blanking on card names right now. The 2-mana spell, it's like a not Hidden Wisdom. The 2-mana spell that will draw a secret and then make it cost 0, stuff like that. Those are, like, your usual draw cards, those 4, but Sparkjoy Cheat would be very nice. I mean, Blackjack Stunner is just, like, an objectively broken card. It's just held back by Rogue Secrets being bad, so I'm obviously going to talk about it. Blackjack Stunner would just be really strong for Mage. That's it. It's not even like it's like that crazy synergistic with Seeker Mage. It just would be really good for Seeker Mage, and Seeker Mage is really, really, really bad right now, even though currently in the meta, it actually would be really strong if Cabal Lackey got reverted. These, like, combo Druid decks that are taking over the meta right now would just fold the Seeker Mage, but whatever, we nerf Cabal Lackey for some reason. So I like Seeker Mage. I don't know, I do like it. It's not that hard to play around. People are just bad at playing around it. They refuse to play around it, and they get upset when their deck that is supposed to lose the Seeker Mage loses to it, and they don't run cards to play around it. Then we have Paladin. So this one is definitely goofier than the rest. If you put Fan Autumn into Paladin, it would be really good with Holy Wrath. That's it. That's the whole slide. If you don't know, you can play Order in the Court to set your highest cost minion on top of your deck, which would be, it's currently Shirvala, but would be Fan Autumn, and then Holy Wrath to draw and deal damage equal its cost, which would be, is currently 25, but would be 30. That's it. There's nothing like funny about this. There's not really like any like specific like reasons why it should like need this, stuff like that. It's just funny. It would just be like, it would just be a buff to Holy Wrath Paladin, and that's it. So I think it would be really, really funny if we did this. Like, is anyone gonna tell me it wouldn't be funny? Like, let's be honest here. Who is gonna tell me that taking 30 damage from hand from Paladin wouldn't be funny? I mean, every deck either has Renathal anyway, or just, like, goes under Paladin as, like, an aggro deck. So it's not like it actually matters. Like, what decks actually have 30 health that would be that upset about getting killed by this on, like, 5, 6, 7? That actually have 30 health? There's not much of anything. Everything either wins the game before that point, or has Renathal, so they're not actually going to die from it. So it's just really funny. I don't know. I'm going to move past this one. Then we have Priest. So for Priest, I actually is thinking about Prosthetic Hand. Prosthetic Hand would be like a big buff to Automaton Priest. It makes it so that you get a free reborn on your automatons. It buffs one of your automatons by 3/1. It's just useful. I mean, that's kind of the whole idea, right? It also can magnetize to undead. So that's why I wanted to like have this in Priest specifically, is the fact that Priest has a lot of undeads. Priest has ways of giving their undeads reborn, so Prosthetic Hand would just, like, be double dipping in Priest on, like, its usability, and I think it could genuinely be a pretty good card for Priest, for, like, Automaton Priest, and if they ever bring back, like, Undead Priest, which is probably likely. Let's be honest here, it's probably likely we will see, like, Undead Priest cards come back. We see individual Undeads come back all the time, so that's why I'm kind of thinking it. It's not really that flashy of a card, especially compared to some of the other ones on this list. It's not very flashy, but it just makes sense in Priest. Priest doesn't have Magnetic at all, which does kind of hold it back, but this is also the only Magnetic, Death Knight card, if I remember as well, so I feel like, that kind of doesn't really matter anymore. Then we have Rogue. I mean, okay, Bloodsail Deckhand is probably the lowest hanging fruit ever for this video. It's a 1-mana 2/1 pirate that your next weapon costs 1 less. And Pirate Rogue plays Swordfish. Or, I mean, you could have it like for Quick Pick or something like that. This one's really low-hanging fruit. It's not the most exciting, but I kind of wanted to get this out of the way in this kind of series, like these really low-hanging fruit ones, because they're just obvious, Like, it's so obvious that you'd want a 1-mana 2/1 pirate, and then it makes your Swordfish cost 2, so it would be really good. Wow, who could have guessed? I'm going to move past this one because, again, it's really like a no-brainer, but you have to get the low-hanging fruits out of the way. I'm sorry, guys. Now let's talk about some that are just a little more interesting, like Shaman. So the whole spell school thing that came around in Titans for Mage, I like this package. I like Sif, I like Discovery of Magic, I like Inquisitive Creation, I like Wisdom of Norganon. The 7-mana spell's kind of shit, so I don't like that much, but I think that this is like a really good package. I think that if you put these 3 cards, not Sif, I don't think Shaman should get Sif. I think that would be a little not fair or fun, honestly. But these 3 could easily go into Shaman. We got the whole spell school Shaman of this expansion. We had it in Sunken City as well. So we could definitely throw these in, and then it would just give those decks like a little bit more oomph. They don't have really any way to generate arcane spells, so Wisdom of Norganon would be a good arcane spell. Discovery of Magic just allows you to get, like, holy spells, or fel spells, or, what is it? No, I think it's just Holy and Fell that they don't have access to, like, really easily. And Shadow spells, but I guess if you're playing, Death Knight has access to Shadow spells very easily. Shaman technically has access to Fell spells because of the Tourist, but you don't want to run Skirting Death in your deck. So yeah, giving Shaman access to Holy, Fell, and Shadow a lot easier would be pretty nice for these school Shamans. And then Inquisitive Creation is just like a no-brainer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm surprised they didn't print a card like this for Shaman. It gives spell school Shaman AoE removal. That's really good. It's Battlecry based. It isn't a tribe that Shaman can really make that well of use of. So, it doesn't like have any like weird interactions. It just feels like a card they should have probably reprinted for Shaman. I'm gonna be so honest with you. Maybe change a few things, maybe who knows, but it feels like a card Shaman could have had, and it wouldn't be that weird. I think that all of these combined would make Spell School Shaman genuinely good in Wild, which is something that, I kind of wish would be the case, but it's not, and that's really sad. Then for Warlock, I chose Curseblade. This one is, like, probably actually the worst on the entire list across, like, all the criteria that really meet this. Like, cards that synergize, cards that would make sense, cards that would help decks, blah, blah, blah. This is, like, bad in every possible way. However, it's really fucking funny because I don't know if Curseblade does work for the Demon Seed, but it will definitely work on all your damage cards. So I would think it would be really hilarious for, like, someone that doesn't know any better to run the Curseblade in their Demon Seed deck and then just kill themselves. I think that would be fucking hilarious. Like, if they just die on their Dark Lair turn. It would be so funny. Yeah, they would complete the quest a little faster, but, like, it would just be really funny. I don't know. It would just be so goddamn funny. I'm sorry. Like, I hate the Demon Seed. I hate Dark Lair. I think they're just, like, really boring cards that, like, promote bad gameplay for the game. But something about giving Warlock Curseblade would just be so goddamn funny to me. Because, especially if they play the Curseblade, they could just die while trying to, like, uber ramp their quest. They could just die. And that's really funny. Then, lastly, we have Warrior. Deepwater Evoker genuinely feels like a card they could have just printed red. Everything about it exactly the same, everything about it, and put it in Warrior, and it would have made sense as a card. It would be really good with Odin. It would be really good with Shield Shatter. It'd be really good just with every, like, high-cost Warrior spell, like, Trial by Fire could be, 7 armor, stuff like that. They have there's the, what is it, like, Igneous, I don't remember what it's called. It's like a 4-mana, 3/5 elemental taunt that's Dredge, and then gain armor equal to its cost of the Dredged card, which is, it's a fine card. It's not really that good. Deepwater Evoker would be really strong for Warrior. It probably would be too strong. I'm gonna be so honest with you. It might be too strong. But it technically dies the same turn you play it because of Shield Shatter. Because Shield Shatter would always be your highest cost spell if you were to have this card. So it would be like 4 mana. Draw a spell, gain armor. Like, the body itself wouldn't count because it would die to the Shield Shatter, but it would just be really strong. Like, really, really strong. And does Warrior need something like this right now? No. Like, 1 or 2 expansions ago? Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, you could probably say that it does for Wild. It probably would need this. But nowadays, Warrior's pretty good in Wild. This would probably be way too good. But it's funny. It's fun. That's the whole point of making this video. It's just cards that would be fun together in other classes. And Deepwater Evoker would objectively be a fun card in Warrior for Warrior players. So yeah, that's going to be it from me. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think down below. Are there any cards that you think would fit in other classes? Do you think any of the cards on this list don't really fit in those classes as much as I said? Do you have any cards that you think would just, like, should have been in other classes to begin with? Tell me down below. I'd love to hear it all. I like making videos like this where it's just like, oh, what if? I love Hearthstone what ifs. I love stuff like that. So I'd really like to see what you guys have to say. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Shadows are rising again!
Darker than they've ever been.